Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Multiverse Matchup. We have an exciting matchup here that I want to discuss. And one of the characters is probably not as well known, and the other one is probably very well known. We have Green Lantern versus Nova. And the Green Lantern we're using is Hal Jordan. And I went with Hal Jordan just because canonically, yes, I believe that's how you say it. But in the comics, Hal Jordan was first, and John Stewart became a Green Lantern later, and he's younger. So I'm just going with the original one. I might do a multiverse matchup comparing the two different Green Lanterns between Hal Jordan and John Stewart. But we're gonna go Hal Jordan just because he wasn't the first Green Lantern, but out of the big, like, popular, well-known Green Lanterns, it's pretty much those two. And Hal Jordan came first. So we're gonna get straight into Green Lantern, break it down, and then we're gonna break down Nova. Green Lantern, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. Power type, he's human, but he has the Green Lantern power ring, which is based on willpower. Gives him energy, manipulation, shielding, etc., etc. Origin story. Hal Jordan, a fearless test pilot, was chosen by the dying alien Abing Sur to inherit the most powerful weapon in the universe, the Green Lantern power ring, powered by willpower and connecting to the central power battery on Oa. The ring allows Hal to create energy constructs limited only by his imagination and strength of will. He became Earth's Green Lantern, one of the Corps' greatest members, and a founding member of the Justice League. So grading out of 100, we have grading of different attributes. Strength, 85. Speed, 95. He can faster than light travel, nanosecond reaction time, combat at light speed. Agility / flexibility, 80. Durability, 90. He's been able to take on nukes. Stamina, 90. Healing factor, 70. The ring is able to heal his wounds and sustain life in space, etc. Longevity, 80. The ring halts his aging. Allows him to survive hostile environments. Combat, 85. Intelligence, 85. Overall grade of 87. Unique and notable powers and abilities. Willpower constructs, can create anything imaginable: weapons, barriers, vehicles, giant machines, etc. Literally, the only limitation to his powers construct is his imagination. Energy projection, beam, blast, explosives, capable of planetary devastation, force fields and shields, fly and faster than light travel, can traverse galaxies in moments, life support, ring sustain him in space, underwater, toxic environments, translation matrix, universal translator, so you can speak all languages, kind of like Thor has the power of all tongue or something like that, where he can speak all languages. And willpower scaling. The stronger the will, the stronger the wings, the stronger the ring's output. So if it's something life or death, or let's say it's his girlfriend or wife or mother or family, and he's really trying to save them, that with like something that would really bring out his absolute willpower, he becomes astronomically stronger. So it's an emotion based. The rings are emotion based. You got like fear, you have happiness, etc., for the different colors. So they're emotion based, and willpower or determination is what draws out the ring's power for the Green Lanterns. Some notable feats contain a supernova explosion with his ring, fought Superman to a standstill using layered constructs and willpower, survived inside a black hole protected by its ring shields, defeated Parallax, a fear entity, multiple times. You might want to look up Parallax, just like an Omega level, beyond Omega level character. Crazy feat. Created construct strong enough to move entire planets, aided by Corps members. So that's Green Lantern. Tier placement. With the standard ring use and baseline feats, you're obviously looking at a baseline of planetary. But if you're talking about at full willpower, creative constructs, or leading the Corps in large scale battles, we're talking obviously stellar / galactic. I'd probably put him on the upper echelon of galactic with the ring. And I do believe, you might have to fact check me on this, but I do believe the Green Lantern rings in general are the strongest weapons in the DC universe. So no matter who you are, if you get a hold of this ring, it makes your power level just so. I mean, it's taking a regular human being who is a pilot and turns him into a galactic level being, right? And so that's going to be Green Lantern. So for the opposition, we have Noah, Mr. Richard Rider. I have a poster of him in here somewhere. Nova's actually one of my favorite, like, not even a B level character. He's like a C level character. A lot of people don't know who he is. He's one of my favorite. If I were to describe him best to a character that's more well known, it'd be like Captain Marvel. The Marvel from Captain Marvel from the MCU movies. That's kind of similar to like how his powers work. I actually might do a multiverse matchup with Captain Marvel versus Nova. That'd be a pretty good comparison. But to like give you an idea of like his type of powers, it's similar to Captain Marvel. So let's get straight into Nova. Richard Rider, height 6'1", 190 pounds. Human with Nova Force, who gives him energy manipulation, super strength, faster than light travel, enhanced physiology, etc. Origin story. Richard Rider was an ordinary high school student until Roman Day, the last surviving Nova Centurion of Xander, chose him to inherit the Nova Force. Empowered with super strength, flight, and energy projection, Richard became Nova, a defender of Earth and the later universe. After the fall of Xander, he absorbed the entire Nova Force, becoming Nova Prime, one of Marvel's most powerful cosmic heroes. So with Nova Prime, there's the Nova Corps, which is like a group of people, or like it's an organization, kind of like the Green Lantern Corps. But actually very similar, like kind of backstory to Green Lantern. Now that I'm, reading the origin story out loud from my notes, very similar. He's a human being. Somebody came to Earth and chose that person to inherit their power. Green Lantern never absorbs all the other Green Lanterns, but Nova Prime is when he pretty much absorbs all the cosmic power from the other Novas and becomes Nova Prime. And so to the scaling, out of 100, strength 85, speed 95, flexibility and agility 75, durability 90, stamina 90, healing factor 70. Obviously, the Nova Force is a big factor to all this stuff. Longevity 80s, the Nova Force slows his aging. Combat 85, intelligence 85, overall grade 87. So they both have the same overall grade. For those of y'all that haven't watched episodes of this, just because you grade higher doesn't necessarily mean you automatically win. Because I forget which one. I don't think it came out yet, because I got some scheduled to come out later. But I do believe there's one where a character is graded higher, but in the matchups, I don't think they win. I don't know which one that was, because I kind of do multiple of these at a time. But anyway, just because you grade out higher doesn't necessarily mean you would win, because it's all about matchups. Because somebody might be going against somebody. A character might be going against another character whose strength is that character's weakness. So just want to throw that out there. Just because the grades might not be the same or one's higher, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll win. Anyway, unique and notable powers and abilities. Nova Force, source of all abilities, super strength, speed, durability, energy projection. That's the creme de la crop for his powers. Energy manipulation, beams, gravimetric pulses, planet busting blasts, flight and faster than light travel in galaxy moments. Force fields and shields, withstands nukes, supernovas, and cosmic scale threats. World Mind AI, guides tactics, hacking, translations, and enhanced combat efficiency. When he has the World Mind AI, he basically becomes a super genius mind, basically. And enhanced physiology, superhuman reflexes, endurance, stamina, far beyond baseline. Some notable feats: contain the entire Nova Force, becoming Nova Prime. Defeated Annihilus in single combat, ending the Annihilation War. Look up Annihilus. He's kind of like a Thanos level threat, and he beat him kind of 1v1. Actually, now that I think about it, I think if MCU Thanos were to fight Nova Prime would probably beat him. MCU Thanos. Comic book Thanos, I'd have to do a little bit more research. But to put in perspective how strong Nova Prime is, – again, assuming they don't nerf him, because they nerfed the Hulk so bad, I don't even want to talk about it. But assuming they don't nerf, because they did nerf Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was going toe-to-toe with Thanos with the Power Stone. They nerfed Hulk because the Hulk got his ass beat against Thanos with the Power Stone. Assuming they don't nerf Nova Prime is, in my opinion, would be stronger than Captain Marvel Prime. I think. I don't want to give away who I think stronger than what, because I have so many matchups I got to go over. But anyway, I do believe Nova Prime would beat Thanos with the Power Stone. Just to put in perspective how strong he is. So look up if you want to check out Annihilus to see how strong this dude is. So tier placement. Standard Nova Force, kind of the same as standard Green Lantern. We're talking planetary level. Nova Prime, I'd put him at Galactic. I'd put him upper tier. I'd put him almost upper Galactic or lower Universal. So Galactic is tier 6. So I probably would put him lower Universal, maybe upper Galactic with the Nova Prime output. So now we're gonna get into who wins out of 10 fights. Who wins what? 1v1 matchup, 10 fights. And after kind of thinking about it, because when I do my notes, I actually sit down and really contemplate the different scenarios, who would probably win in what scenario. And the only type of fight I can think of is a fight in the middle of space, and it's just 1v1. Because they both kind of space travel. They both are kind of always in space, traveling from galaxy to galaxy. And if they end up fighting on Earth or on a planet, they're both good guys, so they wouldn't want to destroy it. So they would probably end up going to space to fight, because they could just easily destroy the planet in the combat. So you don't have too many environmental effects. So you can't say one in this fight and the other. Their powers are so similar, it almost makes sense that all 10 of their fights are just in space and it's them fighting 1v1. And when it comes, honestly, I think it's fine. I think they split even 5-5. I think it's pretty darn even in a fight. But I will say, if I had to choose, I want to choose Green Lantern over Nova, simply because of the versatility and his constructs. So let me put it this way. Nova in raw strength, raw power, Nova is stronger. He's more powerful than Green Lantern. So if you want to say who would win out of 10, if it was just a fight of just raw power and strength, I think Nova wins 7 times out of 10. If they were just, it's a slugfest, they're just going to go at it straight, raw power, throw bow for bow, fist for fist, just straight fisticuffs. I'm giving it to Nova more times than not, right? If we're going a strategic battle, like a long-term battle, I'm going to give it to Green Lantern, because Green Lantern, I think his defense is just as good as his offense. Not to say that Nova's defense isn't good, but I do think with the versatility of his constructs, and the only limitation is his imagination, I think Green Lantern can counter every single attack Nova puts out. But I don't think Nova can counter everything that the Green Lantern puts out. And because I'm also thinking, I'm talking Nova Prime, I'm talking full willpower Lantern. So they're both at the either upper Galactic and maybe even lower, even if you put Nova at the lower Universal, Green Lantern's not that far behind, and that's just raw strength. But you're talking about being able to create shielding constructs. He can shield himself. He can protect himself with the Green Lantern ring. His willpower, He's got versatility. He can create any and everything he wants. He can create a fleet of ships with constructs. He can create clones of himself. He can make it a numbers fight where it's 5v1. So I do think if we're talking versatility and yeah, just want to make sure that's what I want to say. I believe in when it comes to versatility and being able to counter attacks, Green Lantern has it. And because of that, I think in a fight, Hal Jordan or Green Lantern would be more strategic. I don't think his intelligence is 85, his combat's 85. So I don't think he's dumb enough to go get in a slugfest with Nova, because I think he'll understand Nova is far more. It's just gonna outpower him. I think he's smart enough to know that. So instead of just trying to beat him with brute force against somebody that's you're not gonna beat with brute force, I think he's smart enough to get into a strategic battle, and I think that's why he will win more times than not. If we're talking in realistic, out of 10, if I had to choose, I'd give the edge slightly to Hal Jordan. Now, realistically, I think they split 5 and 5. 5 and 5. I think it's random scenarios, because I don't want to make one scenario for all 10 matches. But if just random scenarios, I think they would split 5v5 because they're both combat savvy. So I do think Nova is also smart enough to realize that, okay, this guy is being strategic. He's making these constructs to counter. I have to find a way to counter his counter or nullify his counters. So I really think this is probably the most even matched character setup we've had, maybe aside from from Green Lantern and Hawkeye. But at this scale of a galactic or planetary scale, it's pretty even. So I really think it's 5-5. But if I had to choose because of pure versatility and the willpower scaling with the Green Lantern rings, he's able to punch up. So he himself, in terms of raw power, might not be at universal level. It's upper galactic or upper tier 6. And Nova might be lower tier 7 or at the universal level. Green Lantern can punch up to tier 7. And he could also defend himself at tier 7, even though he doesn't have tier 7 power unless he's at the absolute peak. Versus once Nova is Nova Prime, once he's absorbed all the other Nova members, he's at Nova Prime. So he's Nova Prime is, how do I say it? His baseline at Nova Prime is universal versus Green Lantern has to get there. But he can punch up. So I'm gonna give it to Hal Jordan. If I had to choose, Hal Jordan, but to keep it simple, I think they split 5-5. I think it's even match, 50-50. If I had to choose, gun to my head, I'm going Green Lantern, even though my favorite out of the two is Nova. I prefer Nova as a character because I think he's just cooler. It's in my opinion. But if I had to choose, being completely objective, taking my bias out, I'm picking Green Lantern wins the matchup if I had to choose. But I would deem this as a tie. But for these, I do want to make myself pick somebody. But I'm deeming it as a tie. If I had to choose, I'm leaning Hal Jordan, even though Nova's my favorite. But that's going to do it for this episode of Multiverse Matchup. I'll catch you guys next time.